I'm Alex Morash, and let's queer up the USA View. Celebrating Harvey Milk Day to honor this LGBTQ pioneer who helped shape our fight for equality. As communities across the country mark Harvey Milk Day on May 22nd, that's tomorrow, kids, many are reflecting on the lasting legacy of one of America's first openly gay elected officials. Harvey Milk became a groundbreaking figure in queer history after winning a seat on the San Francisco Board of Supervisors in 1977. His election marked a major milestone for LGBTQ representation in U.S. politics. Born in New York in 1930, Milk later moved to San Francisco, where he became a leading voice for gay rights activism in the city's Castro neighborhood. During his time in office, Milk sponsored and helped pass an anti-discrimination ordinance protecting people based on sexual orientation. He also advocated for queer youth and played a major role in defeating California's Proposition 6, a measure that sought to ban LGBTQ public school teachers. Milk was widely known for his passionate speeches and message of hope. In another well-known quote, Milk declared, quote, "If a bullet should enter my brain, let that bullet destroy every closet door in the country," end quote. Milk and San Francisco Mayor George Moscone were assassinated in 1978 by a former colleague. Milk was 48 years old. As we conclude today's episode, we leave you on an inspiring note by remembering Harvey Milk, a pioneer whose courage, hope, and fight for equality to continue to inspire generations across the queer community and beyond. And let me say, really and beyond, you know. I have always been a big Harvey Milk fan, so much so that there was a time when it was very in on Twitter to tweet at Grok which historical figure you most like, and according to the 22,000 tweets I had once done, Harvey Milk was the man I sounded the most like, and the reason why was not just the LGBTQ stuff, because he and I are both very pro-queer. I love Dick. How could I not be pro-gay? But also, he had a huge history of involvement with union activism and labor. One of the first groups that supported him for city council was one of the unions. I think it was the Teamsters, to be exact, over the Coors protest. He got all the gay bars to take out Coors beer because they were screwing with the Teamsters. And let me tell you, the Teamsters do not mess around, people. If they are on your side, you're going to go far. And Harvey, he was just great with that stuff. He wasn't just about LGBTQ rights. He wasn't one of those, remember, the LGBTQ establishment in the 1970s did not support Harvey Milk. They were going with this clean, buttoned-up gay guy. They wanted to win that seat. And the public and Harvey, they took it from him. They took out the machine. And I love Harvey for that stuff.
I think something that we should, not only Harvey Milk, but, we were just talking about Mr. Frank. These politicians who are openly gay, yes, they are fighting for our rights as an LGBT community, but they were also fighting for the rights of their constituents at large. So it makes them more recognizable. It makes them more approachable. It makes them more loved. And, I just hope that, we don't have this swing, because we don't see a lot of politicians that are openly gay that talk about anything but that. And I think that alienates them, where we're talking about two men who everybody knew and pretty much everybody loved because they reached out to everybody.
Mm-hmm. I do think there's a connection between their seeing discrimination as a queer person and that sense of justice for other communities. Oh. Whether you're talking about Harvey Milk or Barney Frank, and as you were talking about, having openly elected officials, especially back when there was almost no out people, really was a big deal. I remember as a kid knowing Barney Frank was there made me feel better. You moved to Boston for school because an openly gay elected official was there, and I'm sure countless people flocked to San Francisco because of Harvey Milk.
And also, I just want to, not to switch gears to bad stuff, but I also want to point out that when Dan White killed Harvey Milk, he was the resulting legal theory to get him off, which he did. He was convicted of manslaughter instead of murder, as it should have, was the Twinkie defense. The idea that he consumed so much artificial foods that he is not of sound mind. The thing is, it's like the gay panic defense. It is an excuse for a largely publicly selected jury to essentially excuse the homophobia by using a novel legal theory in order to prevent LGBTQ victims from getting justice. You see it today too. Oh, a trans person attacked me, or I didn't know she was trans, and we started to have relations, and I saw dick, and therefore I was scared, and bam, bam, bam.
I've never been afraid to see dick.
Neither have I. But the point is that these people are pioneers, but there's still a long way to go. We are still seeing the effects of what killed them years and decades after.
When juries do injustice, there are consequences. I remember watching the Harvey Milk documentary, and people forget, after the verdict and what happened,
the White Night riots.
There was riots, and what people don't remember, the thing that moved me and shook me the most was the out-elected official to replace Harvey Milk. He defended those riots, and I'm like, could you imagine a politician other than Donald Trump defending a community crying out like that? They're too scared to defend people these days. But you do that stuff, communities react. The Rodney King is a similar event where if you do such acts of injustice, society freaks out, and that's what happens when you do things like the Twinkie defense.
Yeah. Well, I just want to say, a lot of good points made here at this table. Harvey Milk, his assassination came at a time when I was a very, very young, early teens. And I remember even traveling out to California on a family trip, and soon after the assassination, how big of a story that remained during the trip where I was out there. But, figures such as Harvey Milk need to be remembered and honored forever, not only in our community, but in our society. Because, he was a stepping stone and gave me strength to pursue becoming the man that I am today, rather than being a closeted gay person.
That's wonderful.
And finally, I just want to point out that San Francisco has gone through a lot of changes these days, and a lot of things are corporatized. Recently, there was a small chain of coffee called Phil's that has one in Castro. They proudly hang the rainbow flag until the CEO mandated or taken down. In Harvey Milk, San Francisco.
Didn't they put them back?
They put them back after public pressure, but they should never have been. But they should never have been removed in the goddamn first place.
This kind of gets to then my final point as we close out. For those that are how do I try to honor Harvey Milk's legacy? I would say the most likely group to get involved with, partially because a bunch of them are old school guys who are literally helping Harvey Milk with the Coors boycott. Pride at Work, the LGBTQ union organization connected to the AFL-CIO. If we go find Pride at Work, they're a good group of people. They're very much honoring Harvey Milk's legacy to this day. And that is an LGBTQ news story. There is no other queer nonprofit media platform like this in the entire world. Support our LGBT stories by sharing them and subscribing to Queer News Tonight.